We are live. Um, I just need to check. Yeah, my audio's on. Yeah, gonna do a quick stream today, dude. I was zapped with energy today. It was very annoying. I was trying to get a lot of work done, but it didn't end up happening. Um, so yeah, we'll see how much energy I have. It might be a very short stream. It might be something that's very quick, but again, I'm just trying to stay consistent, trying to keep going, doing this because it's fun, and the moment it becomes consistent, the moment there's like a schedule to it, I think it's gonna be a lot better. Wow, I'm gonna ban you from chat just from that. I can't believe you. It's crazy. How long of a timeout? 5 minutes? 2 days?
The book is called Ecclesiastes, and it begins with a famous statement: "Vanity of vanities, all is vanity." Vanity, in the older sense of the word, means pointlessness. So it was presumably be written by an old man who, we assume, who saw that everything is so short-lived, and he describes all that in the book. It's beautifully written. It's a great work of literature, and it's a reflection of that state of consciousness. So basically, he says, just get out of life whatever you can because you're going to die, and and no matter what you achieve, you're still going to die. So even if you achieve wisdom, you're still going to die, and it's all pointless anyway. But he writes in more beautiful language than I'm summarizing it here.
What's up, Sahita? So what he's saying here is very profound. If you can get beyond the coarse language, um, everything you know, everything that you love is going to eventually fade into dust, and it's only what you experience within this world that you can take with you.
Yeah. But um, it's funny how that book found its way into the Bible. Somebody's wondering about the pointlessness of it all. So that afflicted certain individuals here and there, but not vast numbers of people uh, as it does now. And a lot to do with it, as I mentioned the other day, is the fact that in the mainstream culture, the entire universe is regarded as a random coming together, an accident.
So this is the more modern view of things. It's very weird how there's been like a shift from like a reverence to not being able to understand to now like a deterministic worldview, I would say. And I feel like it kind of takes the joy out of things. Like, why do you want to know the answers to everything? If you know the answers to everything, then it's boring and there's no speculation. What's up, Zachariah? Happy Friday.
Accidental coming together of atoms and molecules, and then accidentally all this comes into existence. Then, of course, there is another a religious theory that God regarded as an architect or something like that who created it all. At some point, God created it all, and what did he do then? Then, so some people would say, well, he must have walked away after he created it all, because if he were controlling things now, then
So I don't I'm shocked that this is what he's talking about, but we'll hopefully get to a point pretty
that
soon.
wouldn't make sense because I could do better than that. So that happens when the belief is there's an external creator who does it all, and then and according to some beliefs, he's still in charge of things, omnipotent, an omnipotent entity somewhere.
It's weird how many differences in beliefs there are. Like, um, I don't even know how many there are, but it seems to me like there's different interpretations. Just of Christianity alone, there's people that believe everything is set in stone. Everything's predetermined. People believe you have free will. Others believe that God is going to smite you if you like step on an ant.
and looking over things.
Doubt he could do better.
And traditionally, the belief was that if bad things happened, it's God's punishment. Traditionally, not many people dared say, "How dare you, God, punish us or punish me?" They immediately said, "It's our fault. I know. It's my fault. I know." That is the traditional approach. Even when I was a child, I was brought up as a Catholic, and in those early days, I believe, I seem to remember, the Mass was still, there was a lot of Latin in the Mass, which is very nice.
It's weird to think that like there was a day and age where these ideas were like restricted. I don't know, this is something I've been like stumbling upon. Like, I mean, when you think about it, like the old Roman Catholic Church used to give the sermons in only Latin, and thus the only people that could actually read the Bible and interpret the Bible for themselves were the priests. And I feel like it's very weird because it's weird to like siphon the information about God. Like if you're really about God, don't you want everyone to see the ideas? I don't know, it's weird to me like the justifications for this beyond just a control system.
And even as a child, a 10-year-old, we had to um, beat our chest and say, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa, mea culpa, my guilt, my blame, I am to blame. Uh, as a child, I tried to figure out
You
what that
remember church
was,
in
why
Latin?
I was to
I mean, it probably sounded good when they were singing songs. Like Latin is a very beautiful language, but it's just a weird concept to me.
blame for the. And, and, and at the age of 10 came the first communion. That is a big event in the life. I don't know if it still is in the life of a Catholic child. The first communion, and the first communion is preceded by the first confession of your sins in the cubicle, dark, dark cube, very scary. And you have to, and then before you do that, the day before or days before, you have to, what was called searching your conscience for your sins. And I took it more seriously, I remember, than other children because
When I had this, I like itemized everything I'd ever done wrong, and I was like so ashamed, and I was thinking about it for weeks. And then I told everything I did to the priest, and he was like, "Oh, okay, you're fine, you're forgiven." I was like, "What?" I was so confused because like I was told to remember everything I'd done bad, and I like in my mind made a list that I was rehearsing that I was going to tell because I thought it was such a big deal, and the priest just kind of like didn't care.
other children were playing in the street saying, "Are you coming to join us?" No, I was sitting at a table. I had stacked up books upright around me to hide the paper on which I'm going to write down my sins. But it took a lot. I really had to think very hard. Well, they must have done something really bad. I came up with a few minor things, and I even invented one or two because there wasn't enough on the paper.
It's funny though, because you see the guilt being instilled in people at a young age. This is something that like I really when I read James Joyce, you hear about the guilt and how it solidifies and how it affects the individual as they grow up. And I think it's I don't know, to me it takes away the beauty of Christianity. I think that the best part of Christianity is the aspect of forgiveness, the aspect that you can be cleansed of all your sins, that you can take everything wrong in the world and have it reborn and make it great. Um, and I think there's just too much fixation, too much guilt associated with all of these things. The moment you start talking about the devil is the moment you enter the idea that like he can have effect on you. So I think I don't know. I don't really know how to explain these ideas without doing it on paper because it's very jumbled in my mind right now.
But a sense of guilt goes through all the way, go through the millennia, of deep-seated guilt in the human mind, and that is also part of egoic consciousness. The sense of that not only is there something wrong with the world, there is something wrong with me too. There is something wrong, and even more fundamental.
So think of the idea of original sin. The idea of original sin is a very ingrained idea in Christianity. And I think it's like kind of falsely attributed to the Bible. Most of what we know about the fall of man comes from John Milton's Paradise Lost, which is literally a poem that was written centuries after the Bible was written. And basically, it just became accepted doctrine. It's the same thing with the idea of hell. The idea of hell isn't really what we get from the Bible. All the Bible says about hell is its absolute rejection of God. You're not aligned with him at all, or it, whatever you want to classify it as. I don't really believe in the gendered aspect of it, but basically everything that we know about hell, all of the imagery, all of the eternal damnation and the burning and the sins and all of these things, that all comes from Dante's Divine Comedy. And it's just like it's so funny to me, like how big an influence literature has on the modern conception and like almost like the collective symbols that we all cling to. Like think of when we talk about hell, everyone imagines like burning people, people destined to be on fire for the rest of history. And that literally just comes from Dante. But we all cling on to these symbols, we all cling on to these ideas. And I think these symbols and ideas are detrimental, they're not uplifting. And that's the very unfortunate aspect of it because I mean, original sin is just like I don't really believe it. I believe that everyone's born whole and slowly conditioned to be imperfect, slowly conditioned to be neurotic, slowly taken away from their true center, their true self. And the moment you reclaim it is the moment you get rid of the original sin. Literature was the movies of the day. Yeah, yeah. No, I was literally just reading Hamlet, and I'm like, this is a great story. I cannot imagine like being at this play and watching it like a few hundred years ago. Like, how exciting would that have been? Because they don't have social media, they don't have TikTok or anything. So like, I can't imagine being like so ingrained in a play. It seems like it would just be such a cool experience.
That sense, which is part of egoic consciousness, in the sense
Mosquitoes
there
are
is
born
something
with original
fundamentally
sin.
wrong with me. However, that
Why
expresses
do you say
itself
that?
in religious terms. It expresses itself as this. It's immediately saying, we deserve your
I mean,
punishment,
animals, like,
because we
the thing about animals, I don't think animals are bad because they kind of just exist. It's not really a conscious effort. When animals are like, animals fight, most of the time they don't fight to the death. And like, it's a play fighting. Like they don't intentionally murder each other. They don't do anything for the sadistic reasons that people do things. It's more of like a accidental thing or a territorial thing. Ever experienced one? I mean, it's just it is what it is, bro. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like they're evil to you, but they're just surviving to themselves. I think it's like a I don't really think there's like an objective morality when we start analyzing like think about how many animals we kill for the sake of being alive. You know what I mean? It's like, are we not evil? I think you can break it down and basically point to bad actions that every animal does in a subjective nature.
feel bad. I feel so bad. I deserve what I'm getting, and that is the feeling of guilt. So whenever a disaster happened in the past, a natural disaster, earthquake, pestilence, the Black Death, or all those dreadful things that happened, um, uh, uh, floods, fires, volcanic eruptions, whatever it may be, humans immediately said,
Can you imagine like there's a volcanic eruption and you don't know what it is and you're like the gods are punishing us. Because nowadays we'd be like we would have like some scientific basis for it and we'd be like, okay, there was pressure building up and all these things, but like You stepped on a crack and you broke your mother's back and the volcanic eruption occurred and you're blaming yourself.
They didn't say how dreadful this is. Uh, why is this happening? No, God is punishing us for our sins. We deserve it. It's our guilt. We need to atone. And then came global warming. And then bad things happen, perhaps through that. And who knows, perhaps for the first time, when humans say, we caused all this, it's our fault, maybe for the first time they're right. So the dysfunction created by the egoic consciousness that brings about a lot of havoc on every level.
So when he's talking about egoic consciousness, this is just think of people that base their self-worth off of how much money they make, the car they drive, clothes they wear, the attributes that people say about them. That's what he's talking about, egoic consciousness. It's the superficial, it's the surface level, it's the people that exist in the shallow end of the pool.
In the human life, on the individual level and the collective level. So all these are things that we can now be transcended. We don't need a feeling of guilt, just we need wisdom. We can let go of guilt as we let go of egoic consciousness.
The more you cling on to the things that you've done wrong, the more you're destined to repeat them. The more you fixate on the wrongs that you've done, the bigger an issue they will have and the less free you'll be able to live. And it's recognition of this fact and it's recognition that what you did is in the past and all you can do is move forward and try to be a better person. And that's the only thing that you can do. Stop torturing yourself, stop suffering. Forgive yourself, learn the lesson, forgive the people that have hurt you, and understand that everything that you've done was based off of what had happened to you up until then. And now that you did this wrong, you know it was wrong, and you know you can do better in the future, and you know that you must use this as an experience, not as a defining moment of your life. Because the truth is, like, I'm not the same person I was yesterday. I've experienced more, I've learned new things. I've done new things. I've taken X amount of more breaths. I've eaten more food. I've become fatter, skinny. Like, you know what I mean? It's like in some way, I'm not the same person I was yesterday. In some way, I am different in an infinitesimally small way. And we must understand this because we must understand that we're always growing and what has happened doesn't define us. It only defines us if we allow it to. It only defines us if we linger on it and we allow it to become a key and pivotal moment in our lives. The truth is, like, most of the things that are bothering you today, you will forget at some point in your life. Think about when you were in high school. I know isn't a good example because, like, the drama from high school is, like, always just trivial. But think about the shit you used to worry about when you were in high school. Think about the things that you used to, like, complain about and, oh, this is the end of the world. Oh, this person said they don't like me. Oh, this person rejects me. Oh, like, remember when it seemed like the world was coming to an end? And then you just grew up and completely forgot about all these things. It's really the same. It's really the same. There's going to be a day and age where what you're struggling with right now is a distant memory. So why linger on it? Why allow it to have a effect on your future? I mean, this is the same thing with like resenting someone, hating someone, holding a grudge. The longer you hold a grudge, the longer it affects you. The longer this person that you don't like that wronged you has a hold on your life. You're not even the same person. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're asking a question? This is a quote from Heraclides. You can never step in the same river twice. And that means that the moment you put your foot in the water that touched your foot originally is already downstream. The rocks, the silt, the bank is already decaying and becoming a new quote unquote river. It's not exactly the same thing. Osho takes this quote a step further when he says, You never step in the same river once, meaning that the moment that you experience something, it's already something new. I think this is like the more you think about this idea, the more you think about this idea of flux and ever changing experiences and ever changing forms, I think you're going to go a very long way because it's our fixations and our attachments to things that take away all of the depth. When you really fixate on a certain item, when you really say, I'll be happy when I have this, well, guess what? All the moments that you don't have that, you are capable of being happy. For the longest point in my life, I was telling myself, when I have this, when I achieve this, when I get this, I'll be happy. Okay, do you know what that did for me? It made me extremely unhappy because I didn't have it in that moment. And until I had that, I wasn't going to be satisfied. I wasn't going to be elated. There was no chance of me smiling. There was no chance of me relaxing because what I defined as success, I didn't have. And the truth is, like, when we go chasing these things, when we put in our mind that I need this to be something, I need this to feel good about myself, then you miss the point. The further you go, the less answers you'll find.
Guilt also disappears uh, because guilt is on an individual level. It means that you have done something bad in the past. At that time, you didn't know that it was bad, we presume.
You're just thinking in the wrong way, okay? One genuine smile can brighten someone's day. You're not incapable of making people happy because you have the use of your words. You can tell your mother how much she means to you. You can tell your father, hey, I know you're a hard ass sometimes, but I really appreciate you. You can tell your friends, hey, you're a really good friend and I don't know where I'd be without you. You really supported me through some of my darkest times. I know I didn't vocalize it, but at the same time, you were the one that was going out and, going to the gym with me or playing video games with me or hanging out with me when I was really struggling. And it was your presence, it was your um, friendship that got me through it. You can always tell someone in your life how much they mean to you, and that is much better than any gift you can give them because it's something that will last. That's a memory they will always cherish. I had a friend that died, in my last conversation with him, he told me he loved me. It was out of the blue, no idea why he said it, but I'm glad he did. And it's like, that's something that will forever be with me. That's something that I will always know um, deep in my heart. And that's like the defining moment of my friendship with him. You do more than that? It's not enough? What do you mean? Dude, you're already enough. You don't have to be more. Like you realize the way you're speaking about yourself is actively making yourself feel inferior. It's actively making yourself not feel like you're enough. Like it's all a matter of the way you frame things. It's all a matter of cutting yourself some slack. Understanding that like things aren't going to be perfect and they really shouldn't be. If things were perfect, it would be the most boring existence ever. It's because things go wrong. It's because you don't live up to the invisible ideal standard you hold that gives any sort of urgency, that gives any sort of reason to keep living. Yeah, no, it's like I got choked up even talking about it, but it really is like a cool moment. Like I at the time I was just like, all right, man, I'm gonna go to bed, but like there's not a day that goes by that I don't like think about it and appreciate that was said. You heard of Robert Spira Muji? No, I have not.
You did it because this was a manifestation of your level of consciousness at that time. Then you become a bit more conscious. Then you look back on your past and say, oh, I did that. And that can easily develop into a feeling of strong guilt, which
That's such a funny way to explain it, but it's so true. Like, think of the things you used to do when you're younger, And you're just like shaking your head, like, what? Why did I think this was an idea? It's like, just recognize that you did the best at the time. You were probably influenced by some emotion. You were probably influenced by some external factor, and it's very easy for you to go back and look at the things you did wrong, but it's a lot harder to look at the things you did right. Look at the right decisions you made.
It strengthens the ego. In other words, you transform human unconsciousness as it manifested through you at that time. You transform the human unconsciousness into an identity.
If you're
So
in my
you
Discord, just send it
manufacture
to
an
me.
identity for yourself out of that and say, that's me, I am a bad person. So it's equating unconscious action with identity. And then again, that becomes
So what he said was very important. You made a decision, you did something that wasn't the best informed decision. Your judgment was clouded at the time. So why are you holding yourself accountable? Why are you saying that like I should have known better when you had no ability to know better? Now that you know better, just understand this and understand that you're not going to make the same mistake.
another heavy part of the egoic identity. Many people carry a sense of individual
That's a
guilt
pretty good way to
about
put it.
something they did or failed to do but should have done in the past, and they cannot let go of.
Yeah.
I'm
See, I
speaking.
agree
I
with that
know
a
that
lot.
quite a few people usually ask me questions about that, so this will be relevant to quite a few people. For quite a few people, so they carry an identity around not recognizing what you manifested was human unconsciousness at the time, but you recognize, you know that it was.
So if you fixate on the past, if you define yourself by what has happened, confirming that it's going to continue. So I need you to understand that like the future is a manifestation of the present moment and who you carry yourself to be into the future. So if you want to change your life, if you want to change everything about yourself, start believing something different about yourself right now. And I promise you, within no time, things can change like that. It's really that's really that case. It's really that just like think of anyone that has had sweeping success out of the blue. It's always they fail and they say, I've had enough, and they become a new person. They embody a whole new identity. And you can do the exact same thing, but most people trap themselves by lingering on the past, by thinking that because something has happened previously, it's going to continue to happen. I want you to look to the past as a learning lesson, but that's it. Don't linger on it. Don't hold any emotions. Don't look to what was. Okay? Why do you have fears of being happy? What? That's crazy. I think happiness is just contentment. Don't think of happiness as like this grand idea. Don't think of it as a set of circumstances. Think about happiness as the joy you feel in the moment. So like when you go out and walk in nature, when you go out and you're surrounded by trees or you see animals or you see like a cute dog walk by, like that's happiness. And when you can prolong happiness for a few minutes at a time, that's enough happiness for a lifetime. And I feel like people want to say that, oh, I'm going to tie happiness up in this goal. The moment I achieve this, I'll be happy. But the truth is, the moment they get that achievement, it's not enough. I mean, this is what you see with Bezos. This is what you see with Elon. This is what you see with pretty much anyone that's doing great things in this world. It's never enough. They always need more. They always need something else to make them happy. And the truth is, happiness comes from awareness. Happiness comes from sitting in this moment and reflecting and smiling. It's really just that simple. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's just that easy. Happiness won't trans what? Bro, what are you talking about? I don't mean to laugh, but I'm just like confused. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to hear you out, but I just don't get it. I think the fear of being sad after being happy Yeah, the US didn't. Don't find any oil or they will. I should make jokes like that. It's so messed up. Um, I could see that. Okay, but the thing is, people are going to be jealous of you no matter what. There's always going to be someone that, even if it's unconscious, is jealous of you. So, like, when someone insults you, it's usually a projection of some insecurity, and it's usually because you're willing to do something they won't. So, like, why do why do jocks bully nerds? Because the nerds are willing to openly express their niche habits, their weird quirks, and even though they get made fun of for it, like that's just who they are. And the jocks don't have that. The jocks need an identity. They need ego. They need to be popular. They need to be liked by everyone, and they can't show exactly who they really are. So that's why they make fun of people that can do exactly what they want, what they wish they could do. And it's like when you break down things like this, it's just the reality of the world. And it's like you can't wrap up what you do and what other people are going to think about it. Because the moment you start doing that is the moment you start living your life based off someone else. And let me tell you what, I don't know what's going to make you happy. You don't know what's going to make me happy. So how dare I have any effect on what you do? And how dare you have any effect on what I do? Some people love to crush happiness. Right, you got some fucked up people in your life. It's such a funny statement. That's a, I hope that's not serious because that's like a very dark thing to say, but that's so funny.
It created suffering in some way
That's
to other humans,
hilarious.
or and yet it to transform that into an identity is a mistake. It keeps you trapped in egoic consciousness.
Um, what else should we watch? I'm like slowly getting more energy. How's my back? Damn. All right, we'll watch. Let's watch Alan Watts. It's true. People don't like seeing happy people. Yeah. Well, it's like, I mean, people envy what they can't have. So, like, if you see someone like being extremely happy, they're gonna be like, "Why is this person happy? Why is this person happy and not me?" And it's always like, it's the people that try to destroy your happiness that are the most unhappy people. Because why would you concern yourself with what someone else is doing unless you're eternally sad? That's really the case of it. Like the moment like you go on the internet and you like see all like the nasty comments that people leave, it's like it's just like people don't leave vile comments that are happy, that are fulfilled, that are content. And it's like your heart has to go out to these people that like want to try to ruin someone's day online for the sake of making themselves feel better. You know what I mean? I sense happiness. You're gonna try to destroy my What are you gonna do to destroy my happiness? I'm very scared and concerned. Can't really even hear this. Okay, this audio is awful. I was like really excited.
What's
Mm, these are too long. Dude, it's a problem. I can't make it through like an hour long video. It has to be like 10 minutes. Otherwise, it's too much for me. Okay. Or some young.
Whoever looks into the mirror of the water will see first of all his own face. Whoever goes to himself risks a confrontation with himself. The mirror does not flatter, it faithfully shows whatever looks into it, namely,
The mirror does not flatter, faithfully shows whatever looks into it. So this is what most people avoid, and this is why. Can you try Ram Dass? I've heard about him. What's he about? We'll look him up if I'm still streaming after this video. Or do you not want to watch Young? Now you understand my fear. Yeah, I get it. So this is a very profound statement right here. The mirror does not flatter, it faithfully shows whatever it looks into. Basically, this is talking about introspection. And this is the exact reason why so many people are unhappy. It's because they would rather live a lie than open the wounds that is their lives. They would rather live in a world where they didn't know their true self, where they didn't know what they really were asking from life, where they didn't face all of the wrong they did, all of the negative characteristics they had, and experience unhappiness, experience the pain for a better future. One of Jung's like most inspiring ideas, and this comes straight from the Red Book. The Red Book is literally top three hardest books I've ever read, but it's very deep and you can take a lot away from it if you're patient with it. But basically, what um lost my train of thought. Basically, what Jung's greatest idea is from the Red Book is you must go to the depths of hell to meet the devil, and the devil really is yourself. The devil really is your darker characteristics, and fuse with it, combine with it, and bring that to the light because it's the balance and the recognition of your darker parts that allows you to grow, that allows you to be fulfilled, that allows you to be complete. Because think about it, like we don't really have bad characteristics, they're just applied in bad ways. So like I'm a very rigid person, I'm a very like when I believe something, I believe it, and it's hard to convince me of something. But sometimes this gets expressed in me being stubborn. Sometimes when somebody's saying something, I just don't give it the time of day. And it's like it's a good characteristic because it's what I believe in, it's what I am convicted in, and I really strongly feel a way. But it restricts me in a certain way. It allows me to be stubborn and allows me to be difficult to talk to sometimes. And it's like it's only when we accept our negative characteristics that we can begin to work on them and we can begin to bring them to the light and use these things for good. So like instead of being so stubborn, what I could do is I could be skeptical. I could, instead of shutting down the conversation, at least hear the other person out because maybe they strengthen my argument at the very least. And it's the recognition of our darker sides, it's the recognition of our capability for bad and evil. I know these are very like symbolic words because I don't really think most people are evil, but it's the recognition that we have the capability to do bad that allows us to do good. And this is the idea of like the two hand sides. So there's the beastly nature of man, which is Saturn, Satan, and that's like war or just awful things, not thought out things. And then there's the Luciferian side, which is Lucifer the light bringer, which is like the elevated, enlightened individual who's telling you how to live, who's an egalitarian, who's doing things for the good of society. So like the people that will sacrifice a few thousand people for the good of every it's like it's a very weird thing. Like it starts to become like a I don't know, like a force that you can't really curtail it. It's the recognition of both aspects of yourself that allows you to take the middle path, that allows you to be completely whole. And this is what how I don't know what the symbol is called, but it's the Taoist symbol. So it's this symbol. So think of the light as your good side, and your good has a little bit of dark in it. The dark is your bad side and has a little bit of light in it. It's the integration of both that allows you to be a whole individual.
risks a
Really,
confrontation with
that's really what
himself.
Jungian
The mirror
psychology is
does
about.
not flatter, it faithfully shows whatever looks into it, namely, the face we never show to the world because we cover it with a persona, the mask of the actor, but the mirror lies behind the mask and shows the true
Yin yang,
face.
yeah, yeah.
The word persona originally refers to a theatrical mask worn by actors to depict the roles played by them. In Carl Jung's model of the psyche, the persona lies between our ego and society. The ego refers to our center of consciousness, which
So Jung has these like maps. I don't think it's as rigid as that. I think these kind of bleed into each other. This is what you see here. It's almost like a Venn diagram. Um, but I don't even know if this is a good representation of it. I don't think any sort of representation could really do the complexities of these ideas justice. Um, if we can, I'll get to Ram Dass. I feel like I'm like ranting now about
is responsible
things.
for our continuing sense of identity throughout our life, and the persona is the social mask that we put on. We all embody different masks in different settings, as it is our way to adapt to the demands of society, playing an important part in shaping our social role and in how we deal with other people. But it also has its dangers. The persona is a
So think of when Jung talks about the persona, I think the best way to imagine it is notice how you're different with people. So with your friends, you're probably throwing around curse words, probably saying some more jokes that are a little riskier or, just more offensive, and you're not really curtailing what you're saying. When you're in the office, you're very respectful, you're saying hi to everyone. You're being very like corporate-y, very reserved. When you're with your girlfriend's parents, you're an angel. It's like it's it's these ideas like we're different people with different individuals. And where does this come from? This comes from our accepting of the societal roles, our accepting of um what we've been ingrained with. So, when you were a child, when you were like sitting down at school, you were probably moving around and your teacher told you to sit still, and you learned that you didn't get yelled at when you sat still. So like it ingrained in you a obedience. It ingrained in you certain characteristics, certain habits. But the truth is like you want to move around. The truth is you get tired of sitting. The truth is like you'll shake your leg just to get some physical stimulation. And it's like this is where a lot of neuroses develop from. It's the rigidity, it's the social realms, social roles, the societal pressures that develop into these longer lasting issues, and these almost like almost like you're an actor in a play, almost like you have to play a certain role, and you can't show your true colors, you can't show who you really are. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's really the key of the yin yang. It's the dualistic nature of things. I think the yin yang is the best representation of the anima animus principle, because like whether you're the dark with the white or the white with the dark, um, it shows that like you can't be directly removed from the other aspect.
complicated system
My
of
words are not
relations
coming
between
together. I'm
individual
sorry.
consciousness and society, fittingly enough a kind of mask, designed on the one hand to make a definite impression
Are you
upon
sure,
others,
persona?
and
Yes,
on the other
yes.
to conceal the true nature of the individual. Jung
Well, think
outlines two
about it.
stages of the
The persona is what makes you successful in this world. It's not the creatives, it's not the nonconformists that succeed in the world. It's the people that can conform to the rules and that can basically play the political game their entire lives. Like those are the people that move up the corporate ladder. Those are the people that get the high paying jobs and become senators, become representatives, become presidents. The people that play the game the best. But the truth is like the more you play the game, the more you lose yourself. And that's the saddest aspect of it. It's like you have to find a fine line between playing the game, a fine line between fitting in and being yourself. And that's really like the eternal struggle. The eternal struggle is like the alienation we feel from societal roles, societal pressure, and living up to who you feel like you truly are in your heart. And for most people, most religious systems, it's go live in the mountains and be a monk, swear off everything, avoid everything, and that's the only way for happiness. The Taoists are a little different. The Taoists believe that you can live your life, but don't be too attached to anything. Um, but yeah, there's different schools of thought when it comes to this. I'm more of the school of thought of like you can do whatever you want as long as it completely aligns with who you are. This is more of like what Emerson said. When Emerson talks about living in accordance to nature, he's not talking about going out and living in the woods. Maybe there's some element to it, but what he's talking about is living with the nature of yourself. If you want to paint, paint. If you want to create, create. If you want to run, run. Like not being restricted to the activities that uplift you, not being restricted to the activities that you want to do. Um, this is a I think it's Earl Nightingale said this. The successful man is a doctor because he wanted to be a doctor. The successful man is a teacher because he wanted to be a teacher. It's that idea. It's doing things because you want it to. Doing things because it's your calling. Doing things because it's what you really want to do deep in your heart. And any sort of force, any sort of um, making yourself do something is creating repression and it's creating unhappiness.
Persona. The first stage is that of identification. The performance of the persona is quite alright as long as one knows that one is not identical with the way one appears. It only becomes dangerous if one is unconscious of it or over-identifies with it. In this case, one must proceed to the second stage, that of disintegration, where one's
So identification, a key part of this is taking yourself serious. So it's fine to roll, it's fine to in some way curtail who you want to be for the sake of getting along, but when you take this role seriously, when you're like, well, I'm this big, powerful, whatever, and I have all this money and I have all this power, and you will respect my authority because of this, it's like, all right, man, like I think you need some help. Like it's the it's the seriousness that people take with their lives. Like think of the parking cop, the rent-a-cop. I shouldn't say stuff like this. I love cops, but um it truly to me it's like one of the most noble things to do is to protect the people in your community, and it's a job that I wish like when a cop does something really good, we like celebrate them like they're as they just won the Super Bowl or something. But um think of the people that are giving out parking tickets. Like you give them this much authority and they're the biggest fucking dick you've ever met. And it's like what what is this like over identification with this role, with this arbitrary thing? Like it's very weird to me and it's very counter to an actual wholesome way of living. Acting according to how society wants you to is not necessarily a bad thing, but doing the opposite is more freeing and you attract a lot of different opinions. So the thing is, I think it's picking and choosing what you want to conform to. Like I consider myself a nonconformist, but at the same time, I don't speed, I don't commit traffic violations, I don't commit crimes. So it's like it's not disobeying norms for the sake of disobeying norms, it's disobeying norms for the sake of being me. So like a good example is like if I wanted to, I could literally find a niche and talk about that and spout all of the opinions from whatever group that I'm in, and I could get a lot more views on YouTube. But it's just not me. It's not fun to me. It's not interesting to me. And it's like I like to do my own thing. I like to be my own person. I like to express my own ideas. I like to discover new ideas and learn about them and work them out on the fly. Like that's just who I am. I'm not gonna ever stop doing that. But like, is it the smartest thing to do? No. But it's like when you live in an authentic way, you live in a way that it can only be good for you. Emerson has a line that's like Socrates, Plato, Pythagoras were all misunderstood. To be great is to be misunderstood. And it's not great in the sense of accolades. It's not great in the sense of having your name remembered in history books. It's great in the sense of living. It's great in the sense of living a great life and a happy life and a fulfilling life. Because why do you need to be remembered in the history books if every moment of your life was amazing? I am from the US. What's up, Nevid? No, how's everything, man? Did I say
persona
it
is
right?
intentionally or unintentionally shattered, creating a state of chaos and disorientation. In very rare cases, one can have two or more personalities who have their own opinions and may contradict each other. This is known as dissociative identity disorder, a mental health
Interestingly enough, dissociative identity disorder is like psychologists don't agree about it. And I'm like split. Like I don't know. I would have to research. I've never met anyone that has it, so I'd be like interested to learn about it more.
health condition which is usually a result of trauma. In the disintegration process, one can choose 3 different approaches. Negative restoration, where one pretends that he is as he was before the crucial experience in order to adapt to the status quo. Absence, where one lives without a persona and cannot possibly interact with the world. And restoration, where one develops a persona that one is conscious of and which does not hide one's true self. If one is either unconscious or over-identifies with his persona, the optimal choice is restoration. Negative restoration hides one's true self, and absence of a persona may not only be impossible, but also undesirable.
So I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about right here, but a key idea of Jung that's different from Eastern philosophy is Eastern philosophy tries to kill the unconscious, tries to kill all the experiences and the things that affect us on a daily basis, and Jung tries to integrate it. So Jung doesn't try to transcend the ego, he tries to integrate the ego with the unconscious. He's talking more about how people behave, like you're supposed to adjust to their own. Yeah, yeah. I get what you're saying. Okay, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's like it's kind of the same though. Like you see the same forces that act on a group act on the individual. Like the macrocosm is a result of the microcosm, as above, so below. So
As one must adapt himself with
that's
the
what's
external
interesting about
world
these
as
ideas.
much
They
as his
work
inner
just
world, a
like
topic we
when you look at Jung describe World War II dictators, I'll say Jung basically describes Hitler as unconscious archetype of the Aryan race that was um, basically pushed in that direction because of the what is it, the Treaty of Versailles? I think that's what it is. And it's interesting because like we see these mass political movements and like they can't be explained by the everyday person, but like if you're at all understanding of Jungian psychology, you understand that like it's basically Newton's law. There's every action has an equal but opposite reaction. And like right now we're seeing the culmination, especially in the US, of like telling a group of people that they're evil, telling a group of people that they're dumb and all these things. And like you're seeing the reaction now. And it's very weird that like people try to seek change through extreme measures because that's what always happens. It's a pendulum. There's always a spring back. There's always a opposite response. And it's like you're gonna continue to see these cycles until people understand these ideas and people understand that like a more realistic and holistic way of approaching these problems is the only solution. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Jung's religious stuff is very, very deep. And if you've like I feel like you have to read Gnostic stuff or Freemasonic stuff or like even Eastern stuff to understand the symbols, a lot of them. But like if you read alchemical studies or psychology and alchemy, it gives a lot of insights to the stuff you're talking about. It's super super interesting.
will be discussing are the dangers of concealing our true self. We may use the persona to help us conceal our vulnerabilities and other parts that we do not want to reveal about ourselves, or we may excessively identify with the persona. When we do not want to reveal the truth about ourselves, we act as someone who we are not. There is always some element of pretense about the persona, for it is a kind of shop window in which we like to display our best wares.
No, but no, have you read the Red Book? I wonder what your thoughts are on that. Is that what you're talking about? If you've read Manly P. Hall, it's literally the way I interpreted um, most of the Red Book was the two forms of the devil, two left hand, right hand, black and white magic.
The persona begins to form early in childhood, out of a need to conform to the wishes and expectations of parents, peers, and teachers. Children quickly learn that certain attitudes and behaviors are acceptable and may be rewarded with approval, while others are unacceptable and may result in punishment. The tendency is to build acceptable traits into the persona, and to keep unacceptable traits hidden or repressed. Perhaps being assertive is seen as rude and socially unacceptable, and one becomes passive, affecting one's relationship.
So it's the repression of our traits and the lack of integration that leads to all of our problems. If you integrated the parts of yourself that you were repressing, you would be a complete whole and healthy individual. It's not that easy. It's not as easy as I made it sound. But like that should be the goal of your life. The goal of your life should find a way to express the emotions that you're not being that aren't being expressed right now. And basically, to summarize every great philosopher, the only way to express the inexpressible is through artistic endeavors, through creative endeavors, through in some way leaving your mark on a medium that's beyond surface level. And like it could be something so simple as writing a short poem. It could be writing a story. It could be, you know, some people they find their passion, their purpose, their creativity through like bodybuilding or jujitsu. Like it could be a physical activity as well. Dance is a really good way to do it. Singing, all of these things are ways to express the inexpressible. And I mean, this is really what Jung was pointing to in the individuation process. It's trying new things and finding what works for you, trying new things and finding a way to integrate all the aspects of your personality that have been lying dormant. Yeah, yeah. You become enlightened only by enlightening the dark side. Yeah. It's like recognizing the dark side and accepting it. Basically like recognizing your sins, recognizing all the bad things you've done and being aware of them so that you can not succumb to them again in the future. Because when you don't recognize your faults, you don't have anywhere to stand on. Like this is why the first step to AA is admitting you're an alcoholic. Because until you admit there's a problem, then you're going to continue to do it. Until you define the parameters of what you're trying to fix, you can't ever tackle it. Gateway experience? No, I've never tried that. Explain what it is. Read the 99 attributes of God, mostly couples. Uh, what? No, I haven't read it. I'd probably be interested in it, to be honest. Once you integrate your hidden or suppressed traits, you become very powerful. Yeah, yeah. Dude, like once you integrate your suppressed traits, you can be happy in a relationship. That's really the key to being happy in a relationship.
relationships, and career. Or one can be too agreeable because one
My friends get mad at me when I start like telling them this. Though, like when my friends are pissing me off, I'll just start using Jungian analysis on them. One time, my friend, he was like, we were at a bar and I wanted to leave, and he's like, "Come on, that girl over there is hot." I was like, "Dude, your fly's down." He's like, "Really?" And he was like all pissed off. I was like, "Damn, you're that insecure, dude. Come on."
doesn't like conflict, but is taken advantage of. These undesirable aspects eventually take their toll on us as we mature, forming our shadow, the dark side of our personality, whom we may be possessed by at any moment in sudden emotional outbursts. For Jung, the negotiation with one's shadow is a
So the best explanation of when the shadow takes over, this is the one I always use. And I'm sorry if you've been here a lot because I always use it, but I think when someone causes traffic and you're cursing their name and you're flipping them off and you're like, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. Like when you start saying these things, that's your shadow taking over. You're not actually that angry at this person. It's just in that heightened moment of anxiety, of fear where you could have died because they did something stupid. You're taking out all of your anger, all of your rage, all your inexpressed emotions out on them in that very moment. And the less you can have these emotional outbursts, the less they, kind of take control of your life, the more whole and integrated you are. Like it's not good to be extreme in anything. Whenever you have some extreme reaction to something, it's usually a microcosm of something much deeper and something much darker that you should really try to address.
lifelong process as part of our self-education, which allows us to rescue the good qualities that lie dormant in our psyche and be honest about who we are, as well as knowing how much good we can do and what crimes we are capable of.
Oh,
The
is it just lucid dreaming? Because I've had that my entire life. Dude, lucid dreams are cool when they're good, but they're terrifying when they're bad dreams. Thankfully, I don't have bad dreams anymore, but like, damn. Yeah, the Carl Jung Red Book is that one's dark. I mean, it's yeah. I feel like Jung is one of those people that like hits at something that is so apparent that once you start to notice it, it just solidifies. Like Jung is so interesting to me because he was both a scientific mind and a mystical mind. And it's the combination of two that really speaks to me. You know what
The shadow, which is usually perceived as negative, also
I
has its positive side. It becomes hostile only when it is ignored or misunderstood. The other danger of the persona is an excessive identification with it. This indicates that our individuality is nothing but pure fiction. In rare cases, if the ego is completely identical with the persona, individuality is wholly repressed, representing maximum adaptation to society and minimum adaptation to one's individuality, inhibiting psychological development. Jung writes, every calling or profession has its own characteristic persona. A certain kind of behavior is forced on them by the world, and professional people endeavor to come up to these expectations.
So think of think of what we call freedom of speech nowadays. Freedom of speech is you either use these talking points or these talking points. There's no such thing as freedom of expression or freedom of speech anymore because everyone is in one of two camps. And it's very sad that we have it codified into the US Constitution, but it's not actually upheld. It's not actually inspired. Like the idea of people only having two opinions is just, it's so frustrating to me. And this is what it's talking about. It's like the groupings and the categories that we put ourselves into form the identity that we um, solidify with our ideas, our heads, and it's limiting. Just think about it like this: any any group could never exactly represent all of your ideas. Any category can never accurately describe the depth of your experience and the depth of the things that you think about. And conformity, not saying conformity is necessarily bad, like some conformity is good, like I don't think people should commit crimes, but like conformity in the sense of everything is done without thought, everything is done for the sake of the group, I think is a very dangerous idea, especially nowadays. I mean, you read Brave New World and you're literally like, okay, this is basically what we're living in. Only divine love bestows the key of knowledge. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's like what did Rumi say about I think Rumi has the best quote on love. Um I love how they're not giving the quote. I belong to no religion. My religion is love. My heart is my temple. I can't. It's not it. I can't find it. I'll find it another time.
Only the danger is that they become identical with their personas, the professor with his textbook, the tenor with his voice, then the damage is done.
You
Henceforth,
feel
he lives
limited right
exclusively
now.
against the background of his own biography.
It's
One
okay.
could
We all
say,
do.
with a little exaggeration, that the persona is that which in reality one is not, but which oneself as well as others think one is. The
Okay. We'll go back to this quote. This is very important. Then the damage is done. Henceforth he lives exclusively against the background of his own biography. One could say, with little exaggeration, that the persona is that which in reality one is not, but which oneself as well as others think one is. So what he's saying is we identify ourselves so much with the idea of ourselves that we become a bastardized version of who we really are. We become what society's told us. We become what other people tell us. We become what the world signals to us. And it limits us, it restricts us, and it paints us in a box. It stops us from growing. It stops us from transforming. It stops us from becoming all we can be. What's the bystander effect? I'm sure I would know what it is when you say it. Communication with ourselves is limited. Yeah, I think this is a Osho point. It's so funny. It's like if wisdom and age were correlated, like if you get wiser as you get older, then nursing homes would be full of geniuses, but there's some people in nursing homes that are, still haven't figured it out. Like I was visiting my grandma And there was this lady in the nursing home, and she's like, "That bitch was doing this." Like there's another lady. I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like a 9-year-old lady in like a wheelchair is like cursing and like saying all these like things that I would say, and I'm like, all right, that's a little weird. People don't help others because no one else is. Yes, yes. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, the weirdest thing to me, like, people have debunked Jung's collective unconscious, but like, how else do you describe what riots are? Riots always are just someone throws a chair and everyone else freaks out. And it's like it's a very weird concept to me that we don't give credit to. Like there's no shared ideas, there's no shared thoughts. A Rumi quote, knocking at the door, it opens. I've been knocking from inside. Oh my God. That's oh, I love that quote.
one is not, but which oneself as well as others think one is. The persona prevents us from what Jung considered the most important task in our lives, the process of individuation, bringing one closer to the self, through having one's unconscious contents brought into consciousness. The contents of the unconscious can be explored through dreams, reflection, and active imagination. It is not possible to achieve individuation by conscious intention alone. The self is the totality of one's personality, which transcends the ego.
Think about it this way. Um, I really, really love this quote. Not all who wander are lost, can quote. And it's basically saying that I was like, the destination is not the goal. The journey is. The lessons are. The things that you experience are. Rimbaud, I'll write that down. Do you think it's in what way is it written? Is it written in a mystical way or a scientific way? I'd like it either way. I'm just interested. I think I'm trying to think of some of the best books I've read on the subconscious. It's Jung has to be up there. I think Emerson hits at it a little bit. I know Nietzsche has some very interesting ideas. Um, Buddhist Taoists do. Schopenhauer has some pretty interesting concepts. Okay, mystical. Yeah, I'll like it.
The goal of the self is wholeness, and individuation is its raison d'etre. The persona hinders this process. One cannot individuate as long as one is playing a role to oneself. The convictions one has about oneself are the most subtle form of persona, and the most subtle obstacle against any true individuation. One can admit practically anything, yet somewhere one retains the idea that one is nevertheless so and so. And this is always a sort of final argument, which counts apparently as a plus, yet it functions as an influence against true individuation. By way of example,
So I kind of zoned out for a second. What I'm guessing he's saying is that any force is counterproductive. When you force yourself to do something because you think it's the best thing for you, when you force yourself to go to school because you think it's going to give you a career and make you happy, you're driving a wedge between yourself and your true self.
we can contrast French philosopher
It's a
Jean
massive
Paul's
allegory.
concept of bad faith to that of the persona.
Dude, the more I read, the more I appreciate fiction for its ability to explain things that you couldn't explain in a philosophical manner. Like you read Thus Spoke Zarathustra, and you get some of the deepest insights that Nietzsche has to offer. And I think Nietzsche is really well known for his philosophy, but his allegory is very impressive as well.
He writes, "Let us consider this waiter in the cafe. His movement is quick and forward, a little too precise, a little too rapid. He bends forward a little too eagerly. His voice, his eyes express an interest a little too solicitous for the order of the customer. Finally there he returns, trying to imitate in his walk the inflexible stiffness of some kind of automaton, while carrying his tray with the recklessness of a tightrope walker by putting it in a perpetually unstable, perpetually broken equilibrium which he perpetually reestablishes by a light movement of the arm and hand. All his behavior seems to us a game. He is playing. He is amusing himself. But what is he playing? We need not watch long before we can explain it. He is playing at being a
Oh, I'll be back in a second.
waiter in a cafe. There is nothing there to surprise us. Sartre tells us that the waiter is deceiving himself about his human reality. The persona or social role has become equivalent to his human existence. His individuality becomes objectified, being equivalent to his job. If one day he happens to lose interest in his job or is fired from it, his persona shatters, the stage of disintegration, and he stares into the abyss, meeting face to face with the emptiness of his true self, which he has.
This is a reality that we all face one day. I think one of the best ways to explain this is the experience you have going through a breakup. Even if you didn't like the other person, even if you knew it wasn't going to work out, you're still facing a fractured self because you put so much of your identity, so much of your ego in being in a relationship with this other person. And it's a very weird idea to explain, but we've all experienced it in some way. When you lose a job, when you lose a girlfriend, when you lose some opportunity, when something slips through the cracks, something that you relied on, some friendship, something is no longer there. It's like this existential crisis. It's this moment of fear. It's this moment of uncertainty.
Not yet developed, and this may lead to an existential crisis.
Sometimes these experiences can be the greatest vehicle for change. Um, I think personally, every time I've experienced something like this, it's really helped me. But for the majority of people, it breaks them down. And just always understand that like everything can either break you down or make you stronger. Yeah, yeah, no, that's definitely what Nietzsche was talking about. I mean, I think people that say Nietzsche said God is dead and man killed him, like if they don't explain the context of it, I think they're very off base. Nietzsche seemed to have like a almost Spinoza-like approach to the universe. I mean, if you read The Eternal Recurrence, it seems like something Spinoza would write. And I think it's I don't necessarily like I would have to look at his journals and his more of his correspondence with others to see his actual beliefs. But I don't think he was an atheist. I think he was more agnostic. Because Nietzsche basically his a lot of his ideology is that like you can never be certain about anything. It's like it's the Platonic idea of forms.
Jung believes, on the other hand, that one falls into the power of primordial images, and without an anchor in reality, one can lose one's wits. He writes, "The aim of individuation is nothing less than to divest the self of the false wrappings of the persona on the one hand, and of the suggestive power of primordial images on the other. Primordial images or archetypes are collectively inherited forms. To understand this better, one must be."
So what he's saying right here is think of like what we imagine as a productive member of society. That's an archetype. So someone that has a family, someone that has a car, that golfs on the week, like whatever it is in your society, whatever it is in your family, like we all have these archetypes that kind of guide us and are kind of images of what we see things as. I mean, if you really break it down, like the mind doesn't understand what words are. The mind understands images and pictures. Um, so it's really these images and pictures and symbols that have such a hold on us because, I mean, if you really want to break it down even more, all words are symbols. They represent an idea, they represent a feeling, they represent a state of understanding of a certain concept. And these images that are passed down from generation to generation have such a hold on what we become usually. Yeah. Well, dude, all the thing is, everything that you read is imaginary. You can never quite describe the elements of things. I mean, this is something that like Schopenhauer and Nietzsche were talking about before Einstein, and it's kind of impressive that they understood it. Yeah, you're writing clearly. I understand what you're saying. Um, but it's so weird to me that we think we can understand absolutely everything. Like most people don't even think that like everything you see right now is colorless atoms that are vibrating at a certain rate that give off a color. Okay. And it's like what we see, what we can describe is not real. It's arbitrary. It's just going through our lenses of perception. And to say that the collective experience is similar to the individual experience is like it denies like the fundamental realities of things.
Be familiar with
I mean, it probably goes back to the acceptance of like the Aristotelian idea of forms, the Aristotelian idea that everything is what we see it to be. What we describe as is exactly what it is.
Jung's model of the psyche. The self is divided into consciousness and the unconscious. And further, the unconscious is divided into the personal unconscious, contents that are individually acquired but have been forgotten or repressed, and the collective unconscious, contents that are inherited, that is, archetypes. Apart from the persona that we have been discussing, the mediator between ego and society, which pertains to consciousness, the persona also forms part of the collective unconscious, and is sometimes referred to as a social archetype or conformity archetype.
So I think it was Jung that said, it was either Jung or Nietzsche, and it said there's no such thing as a new idea. All ideas come from a endless stream of consciousness.
It is only because the persona represents a more or less arbitrary and fortuitous segment of the collective psyche that we can make the mistake of regarding it in toto as something individual. It is, as its name implies, only a mask of the collective psyche, a mask that feigns individuality, making others and oneself believe that one is individual, whereas one is simply acting a role through which the collective psyche speaks. When we analyze the persona, we strip off the mask and discover that what seemed to be individual is at bottom collective. In other words, that the persona is only a mask for the collective unconscious. We all have
Right. So think of if you had two twins and raised them in different environments, they would become different people, even though they're genetically the same. It's this idea. There's certain things about your upbringing, there's certain experiences that you'll have exposed to a certain culture, a certain environment that will go to affect what you become. So, like, if I was born in a different country, in a different religion, I might not be talking about these ideas. It's because I was born in the United States, because I was born in a Roman Catholic church, because I saw like all of the horrific cases when I was younger, and it got me questioning these ideas. It got me less buying into the bullshit. Like that's true. That's really the truth of it. And it's like so much of who we become is affected by the past and affected by the collective ideas of who we surround ourselves with and the collective ideas of the times we live in. Okay. So like things I say would get me killed 500, 600 years ago. And it's like it's understanding these ideas and navigating through them that's very weird. What do you think the most fundamental need of human beings? Just a question to see what you think. I'm gonna be Schopenhauer. The will to live. No. That's a good question. I would say security. Security, survival, um, safety. Think of most of the decisions we make, they're for the sake of getting more money, for the sake of being better respected, for the sake of prolonging our existence. Think if you have kids, in essence, you can live forever if you keep having kids. So like a part of you lives on, a part of you grows. Like it's really the seeking of life, the seeking of eternal life that I think is driving a lot of people's motivations. What if you want to venture out and conquer? That's thinking that your worldly accomplishments will create a legacy that will hold on and make you live forever. It's like Alexander the Great. Why did Alexander the Great want to conquer the whole known world and keep going after he had conquered everything that was known at the time? It's because he thought that if he had enough land, then he would feel good about himself. Then he could rest. Then he could say, I did it all, and my legacy and my empire will forever remain. And it's really just trying to prolong life. Does that make sense? Is it like I don't know if that I'm doing this on the fly. I don't know. And there's a question, will the universe exist at all if there's no one to observe it? I don't think so. Because if there's no one to observe it, then what is existence? But that's really just a semantic argument. I mean, I guess if we're hypothesizing if no one's there, is the universe there? In essence, we are observing a universe that no one's there. So technically it exists. You know what I mean? It's like we can we could go all day with that. Those kind of arguments are like never ending, I feel like.
Have a name, seek to earn a title, exercise a function, and be this or that. This is all real, yet in relation to the essential individuality of the person concerned, it is only a secondary reality. Fundamentally, the persona is nothing but a compromise between individual and society as what a man should appear to be, which is not to be devalued. However, the development of individuality can never take place through personal relationships alone, since it requires a psychic relationship to the collective unconscious. The real individuality keeps on coming to the fore and interferes with the conscious mind, as the unconscious guides us towards individuation. And with the exploration of the unconscious, we can assimilate the archetypes that influence our conscious life as autonomous personalities within the collective unconscious.
I have no idea what you're saying. Like I like zoned out, and I'm just like I don't get the point of this.
These are brought to life by the particular expressions of individuals and their cultures around the world. People don't have ideas, ideas have people. In essence, the human
Okay,
psyche is both individual and
I feel like I said this 10 minutes ago.
collective. Therefore, a balance and
I'm like
cooperation
exhausted
between
right
two
now.
apparently contradictory sides is
Dude, I slept like 10 hours and I'm still tired. I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know if other people experience this. There's just days where like I'm not sick. I don't feel bad. I'm just tired. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like I'm preparing myself for like the stress I'm going to endure for the next few weeks. Maybe that's what it is. Very weird. Archetypes in the collective unconscious. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna end it because I'm like starting I can feel myself not being able to speak very soon. So before it degenerates to that point, I'm gonna end it. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. This was a really fun stream. Uh love you guys so much. Thanks for the great discussion. I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.